So we are here with Peter Forister, a local storm chaser here right in Charlottesville, and we got so much to talk about. I'm excited to chop it up with him. Peter, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
So, I mean, you must have the best stories to tell at parties because it's a really great thing when you say storm chasers. It gets everyone's attention and they want to hear about the craziest stuff right off the bat. But how did you kind of get into it?
I was kind of born with a love of the weather ever since I've been 4 or 5 years old. I grew up out in Colorado Springs and watched
Okay.
thunderstorms go up over the Rocky Mountains and then move out towards Kansas. And just loved watching the hail and the lightning and all that stuff. And just basically from 4 or 5 years old, it stuck with me. And I've known that's what I wanted to do my entire life, just laser focused. Went to school for meteorology. As soon as I had a driver's license, I was out chasing storms in my backyard and I gradually expanded that. So it's been a full life thing for me. I'm totally in.
So when was the first time you decided to get out on the road and
Yeah, when I was young, I mean, my mom would drive me down the road to go look at storms. So, I mean, I've always wanted to go after them. And like I said, by like as soon as I got my driver's license, I wasn't going super far. I was chasing around my county, basically just driving
yeah.
down to the high school or or park or whatever to watch the storm roll in. Um, but yeah, ever since then, just gradually expanding that radius of how far I go, and now I've chased all over the country.
And what is everyone looking for?
So tornadoes are
Yeah.
the big prize for
Yes, right.
sure, but there are a lot of really cool things that you can chase. So tornadoes are you want to get the good pictures, you want to get the good video, get pretty close to them without being dangerous, right? But sometimes storms can produce really spectacular views without actually producing tornadoes. So it's all about where are the pretty storms going to be? And there's a lot that goes into that because, as you know, you can get rain, you can even get thunder on a very gray, boring looking day. And so it's okay, where do we need to go to find a storm that looks good,
Mhm.
that could produce a tornado? And usually it's the rotating storms that you try to go after.
Do you do this with like because you watch like a movie like Twister and they have I'm sure there's a lot of in unfactual things in the film, but they go out with like a team. So is this something that you do on your own, or is this something that you have a buddy who someone films, someone drives, or someone tracks, someone looks?
Sure. Yeah, I've done it both ways. I have gone out with a full team. We actually had 3 vans full of people with dedicated forecasters and like radar trackers and stuff, trying to get close to the storms. I have a couple of friends who actually do it with research, so they drive around in the armored vehicles and the big trucks with the radar dishes on the back and do all that stuff. But usually around here in Virginia in the mid Atlantic, I'm usually on my own. There's not a lot of research. There's not a lot of like big science stuff that's happening out here. So I'll just run out. I'll take a look at the forecast and see, hey, there's supposed to be storms in central Virginia, and then I make my own forecast and then I'll run out solo. I've got a camera next to me in the seat. And, you can have radar up or whatever, but it's definitely doable solo. I would say it's more fun with friends to have another
Yeah,
guy who's in there, who's looking at the radar. You're talking back and forth about the forecast, all that. So
it's
yeah.
like the thrill of the hunt.
Oh, absolutely. And when you execute a chase well, you get in the perfect position. You get that crispy shot of the really pretty storm. It's so rewarding.
It's like the trophy.
Mhm.
So locally here in Charlottesville, Central Virginia, how much luck have you had?
So Charlottesville proper is a pretty unique area because we have the mountains just to our west,
Hmm.
and storms actually like to fire up over the mountains. So the storms
Yeah.
will start over the mountains and they'll roll towards Charlottesville and then further towards the east. And it's actually like a focused area, so it's actually fairly easy to forecast. Say, hey, we think the storms are going to fire up over the Shenandoah National Park, Blue Ridge Parkway, or whatever, and then move east. So I just got to position myself on Route 29, on Interstate 64, and then follow them east. And that's given me a lot of success. I would say that tornadoes are hard to come by in Central
Hmm.
Virginia. A lot of the time you'll get the big rotating storms, and they won't go that extra step to actually produce the tornado. So I've seen a few tornadoes in Virginia, but really only a handful. I would say 3 or 4 in this area, and then you get, but the tornadoes are more likely to happen further east as we're in the flatter terrain, the areas where the wind has less interruption from the mountains.
I think last year, maybe or 2021, remember being caught up in like a hailstorm and then
Mhm.
coming into Pantops on Charlottesville, and it appeared as though there was a tornado looking cloud. And then on Twitter and Instagram, I found some pictures, some better pictures than I was able to get. But do you remember like the most recent?
In 2021, there
Yeah,
was a
for sure.
tornado up in Earlysville, so kind of
Yeah.
behind the airport. I don't remember seeing one in Pantops, and I would have been right on all over that in
Okay.
2021. A lot of the time, you'll actually have these funnel-shaped looking clouds
Hmm.
that will touch the ground, and we call those SLCs, or scary looking clouds. And they can, a lot of the time they're just, because it's hailing so hard, you'll get cold air lifted up into the storm and it creates this cloud shape. Most of the time they're harmless.
Hmm.
So the tornadoes, you usually have to, like, a dedicated team from the National Weather Service will actually go in and look at the damage and say, hey, okay, this is where the air was really spinning violently at the surface. We think the tornado touched down. So oftentimes you can have a funnel cloud even go 80% of the way down to the ground, but it doesn't actually make a contact. So it's really hard to just get that extra step here in Charlottesville,
Yeah.
here so close to the mountains.
So you talked about going all over the country. I know like Oklahoma from like all the every time I watch a documentary, it's on like 2011 in Oklahoma. They had like a bunch of
Yeah.
F4s and F5s kind of
Mm-hmm.
come all at once. And Twister is set in Oklahoma. So
Mm-hmm.
have you ever been out that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I have. So I have several friends who are they go to Oklahoma University, or Oklahoma University for meteorology, which is the top meteorology school in the country,
Aha.
and they are part of the research teams, et cetera. So I've gone out there with them. I've chased Oklahoma several times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, the storms out there are remarkable. The central part of the United States, Tornado Alley, which is classic, what everyone calls it, is the best region on the planet for tornado producing storms. And Oklahoma is right in the center of Tornado Alley, so it's like it's the dream area to go chase in. And I've seen, let's see, I guess it was last year, I saw 8 tornadoes in 3 days,
Wow.
chasing out in Oklahoma. So that was a lot of fun. And
Any
Tornado Alley is larger than just Oklahoma City. It stretches from the middle of
Kansas,
Texas all the
probably.
way up to like North Dakota, and I've seen tornadoes in all those states.
Any close calls there?
No, actually,
That's good.
I've been able to, yeah. So the nice thing about the Great Plains is that once the trees start thinning out, you can get really good views of the storms, and so you can get into a position where you can see the tornado, but it's off in the distance, or you can tell exactly which direction it's moving and position yourself, so that it doesn't come towards you. And that's what I've been able to do out in the Great Plains. My closest calls have actually been here in Virginia
Oh, okay.
and North Carolina because of the trees. The trees make things really, really hard to track, as
Yeah.
well as out west.
Is it true that tornadoes are they unique to the United States?
They're not unique to the United States. Okay, China gets quite a few because they have somewhat similar terrain to what Virginia is like. And sometimes Central Europe, like Poland, and Germany, they'll occasionally get tornadoes, but you're talking like maybe a dozen a year in both of those countries combined, and we have 1,000 a year out in the United States. So
So it's odd how like it's you would think that weather doesn't discriminate, but it's like 99% of tornadoes touch down in the United States.
it is, yeah.
Locally here, I lived in Charlottesville for going on 4 years now, and we've had a lot of tornado warnings.
Mhm.
But no one's ever seen like major damage. So it's like
Right.
tornado warning, keep your eyes peeled, but maybe not. Don't alter your, don't go hide out in the bunker.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So and even for you, it seems like it's based on personal experience. So based on the last 4 times you've had the alert come over your
Right,
phone or whatever,
right.
you're like, okay, well, next time it happens, I haven't seen big damage before, so I'm not expecting big damage this time. But again, it's probabilities, and
Super
so
fingers crossed.
some place in Charlottesville could have their house destroyed or whatever. So it's tricky for sure.
What are you have any favorite pictures that you've shot here in Charlottesville or of storms?
Oh yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
have to
So
put
I
it up on the
like,
screen here.
yeah, sure. I'll make sure those get to you. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of supercells that I've seen in the Charlottesville area that are just really beautiful, like barber's pole structures. And so a supercell is a thunderstorm, right?
Yeah.
But it has the body of the storm, the part where the air rapidly moves up in the convective process, that it rotates. So it's impacted by different speeds of wind through the atmosphere, and then the whole storm rotates. So that's what we call a supercell. And in that rotating air, you can actually sculpt out shapes
Oh
that would
man,
look like a barber's pole, like a hair barber, with those spiral shapes all the way up. So I've seen a couple of those
that's so cool.
here in Virginia. It is. And then out a little bit further east, but out in the coastal plain, I've seen a couple of just beautiful tornadoes, just this classic rope shape like you might see out in Oklahoma. So I'm really proud of those pictures as well.
So in sports, like when I watch movies and stuff, I'm like, oh, that looks phony. Oh, that's actually pretty good. They
Mm.
took care with that. In terms of Hollywood, pop culture, all these sorts of things, what is a natural disaster, tornado, whatever film that's gotten it right in your mind?
You know, Twister is not bad.
Okay,
So
great.
the science what Hollywood likes to do is they like to throw around a lot of big sounding words
Yeah.
that are incorrectly used. And I don't think there's any movie or piece of media that I've seen that just hasn't done that. I like throwing mesocyclone or the suck zone or whatever
Yeah, yeah.
they use them totally out of context. It's like what in the world are you doing there? But Twister does really well at capturing the spirit of storm chasing, the
Great.
excitement that goes with it, the enthusiasm that the storm chasers have, the dedication to the science and really trying to measure the data and all that stuff. It's pretty spot on, and you get that kind of rush of adrenaline right when you head out on the storm chase. You get close to a really good tornado. I've really enjoyed that, and there are a couple other like documentaries and films that have done
Yeah.
a really good job at capturing storms and storm chasing for sure. I want to say there was a documentary. I don't remember if it was on Netflix. I don't remember where it was, but it was about the big 2011 outbreak
Yeah.
in Alabama and Mississippi. And they have some remarkable images from storm chasers down there. And they do a really good job of representing both the victims of the event and just how incredible that event was from a meteorological perspective. And I think that's a really good balance to hold in anything that's severe weather media.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, there are casualties, and
That's
it's
right.
unfortunate. It's cool, but at the end of the day, someone is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. There's a balance between being in awe of
mhm.
the power and spectacle of it all, but also reserving that sensitive and compassionate side for the folks that really get impacted by these storms, and the knowledge that, hey, this could be me one day. How do we approach this carefully and respectfully to those people?
So is tornadoes? Are we coming out of tornado season, or are we still time left?
So there are kind of two tornado seasons. There's one in April and May. I think
Mhm.
that's the big famous one when a lot of the strong tornadoes tend to happen. But then there's also a fall tornado season, and
Oh,
that's October and November. And it's because it's the transition between the seasons. So it's spring is the transition between winter and summer, and then autumn is the transition between summer
out.
and
Yeah.
winter. So you get these big storm systems that'll kind of come through, and those will produce the tornadoes. So two seasons for sure.
Awesome. All right, Peter. I really appreciate you talking with me today. This has been awesome.
No problem. It's been
Where,
fun.
where can everyone find your pictures at? Because some of the pictures are so awesome, and I think
Well,
you have some
thank you.
videos as well.
I do. Yeah. So, and I do a lot of photography besides just storm chasing. I go after the northern lights and landscapes and all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter at Forecaster25, and that's where I'm probably most active. Also have an Instagram. Just search my name, Peter Forister. My website, peterforister.com, peterforisterphotography.com. we'll have all that stuff too.
You kind of have the perfect name for forecasting, forest.
Forecaster, yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was a
like
clever little play.
it's spot on, man.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
really is. All right, Peter. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, Casey, no problem.